$0. That's Elon Musk's salary at Tesla. $0. The richest man in the world doesn't get paid, but somehow he bought Twitter for $44 billion. Somehow he's worth more than the entire GDP of countries like Norway or Ireland. And somehow he pays less in taxes than you probably do. Wait, what? This is about you. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cool story, but I'm not a billionaire. Why should I care? Here's why. You're doing exactly what they taught you in school. Get a job, earn a salary, save 10%, maybe max out your 401k if you're lucky. You check your bank account on Friday when that direct deposit hits. You feel good for about 20 minutes. Then rent's due, car payment, student loans, groceries. Suddenly that paycheck, already gone. Meanwhile, Elon makes $0 in salary and somehow gets richer every single day. The difference? He knows something about money that nobody taught us. And over the next 7 minutes, I'm going to break down exactly what that is. The paradox deepens. So let's start with the obvious question. How do you become the richest person on earth while making $0 in salary? The answer is actually simple, but it's going to flip everything you thought you knew about money. In fact, Jeff Bezos does the same thing. Mark Zuckerberg? Same thing. Larry Page and Sergey Brin from Google? You guessed it, $0 salaries. These guys aren't stupid, so what do they know that we don't? Here's the secret. Wealthy people don't get rich from paychecks. They get rich from ownership. Let me explain. When you earn a salary, let's say you make $60,000 a year, the IRS takes their cut immediately. Federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare. By the time that money hits your account, you're looking at maybe $45,000. You've seen this. Every paycheck. That little breakdown that makes you want to cry. Gross pay, $5,000. Net pay, $3,400. Where'd the other $1,600 go? Gone. Before you even touched it. But Elon? He doesn't take a salary. Instead, Tesla gives him stock options, pieces of ownership in the company. And here's the beautiful part. He doesn't pay a single dollar in taxes on those stocks until he sells them. Now you might be thinking, okay, but he's got to sell the stock eventually, right? To buy things? To live? Hold that thought, because what I'm about to tell you is where it gets really crazy. Here's what Elon does instead of selling his stock. He borrows against it. Yeah, you heard that right. When Elon Musk needs $10 million to buy, I don't know, another mansion or fund SpaceX, he doesn't sell his Tesla stock. He walks into a bank, let's say Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs, and says, hey, I've got $50 billion worth of Tesla stock. Can I borrow $10 million against it? And the bank says, absolutely, Mr. Musk. What interest rate works for you? 2%? 1.5%? Meanwhile, if you wanted to borrow $10 million, the bank would literally laugh you out of the building. You'd need to fill out 47 forms, provide 3 years of tax returns, sacrifice your firstborn, and maybe they'd give you a loan at 7% interest. But for Elon, banks are fighting to lend him money because they know that Tesla stock is basically printing money. Now here's the genius part. By borrowing instead of selling, Elon pays zero capital gains tax. None. Not a dollar. And that loan interest, 1 to 2%, that's way less than the 20 to 40% he'd pay in taxes if he actually sold the stock. Warren Buffett has been doing this for decades. His salary at Berkshire Hathaway? $100,000 a year. Dude's worth $120 billion and pays himself less than a middle manager at Google. Why? Because he's not stupid. He knows the game. Okay, so at this point you're probably like, great, but I don't have billions in stock to borrow against. What am I supposed to do? Just accept that I'll be broke forever? No. And this is where it gets interesting for people like us. So obviously, you and I can't just walk into Goldman Sachs and borrow $10 million against our massive stock portfolio. But the principle, the core strategy, that's something we can use. Here's what the average American does with money. You work 40 to 50 hours a week. You get a paycheck. You spend that paycheck on rent, food, car, maybe a Netflix subscription. If you're smart, you save a little. If you're really smart, you max out that 401k, and that's fine. It's not bad, but it's also why most Americans retire with less than $200,000 saved. Meanwhile, people like Elon, Bezos, and Zuckerberg aren't working for money at all. They're building assets, ownership, equity. So here's what you need to understand. Salaries make you comfortable. Ownership makes you wealthy. Let me give you a real example. In 2004, there was a guy named Sean Parker. You might know him from the social network. When Facebook was just starting, Mark Zuckerberg offered him a job. Sean could have said, "Cool, pay me $150,000 a year." Instead, he said, "I'll work for less, but give me equity, give me ownership." That equity, those shares of Facebook, are now worth over $3 billion. See the difference? Now, I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow and demand stock options. Most companies aren't Facebook. But what I am saying is this: start thinking like an owner, not like an employee. Maybe that means, instead of just saving cash, start building a portfolio of index funds. Own pieces of Apple, Microsoft, Tesla. Instead of working overtime for extra pay, start a side business, even a small one. Build something you own. Instead of chasing the next raise, ask yourself, how can I create equity in my life?
Bill Gates didn't get rich from his Microsoft salary. Steve Jobs famously took a $1 salary at Apple. Even Oprah, built her wealth through ownership of her production company, not from her talk show paycheck. Employees rent their time, owners build assets. And here's the wildest part about all of this. The bigger truth: the system is literally designed this way. The US tax code, all 6,871 pages of it, is written to reward owners and punish employees. If you work for money, taxed immediately. Federal, state, FICA, all of it. But if you own assets, you control when and if you ever pay taxes. And look, I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's right. But I am saying, once you know the game, you can start playing it. So to recap, Elon Musk makes $0 in salary, but he owns billions in Tesla stock. When he needs cash, he borrows against that stock at 1 to 2% interest, instead of selling and paying 20 to 40% in taxes. This isn't some illegal loophole. It's literally how every billionaire in America operates. And while you and I might not be borrowing $10 million from Goldman Sachs anytime soon, we can start thinking differently about money. We can start building ownership instead of just earning paychecks. We can start playing the game the way wealthy people play it. This is what this channel is about: breaking down the money secrets that nobody talks about, showing you how the game actually works, and giving you strategies you can use, starting today. If you want more of this, hit subscribe. We're just getting started. Drop a comment. What surprised you most about how Elon's money works? And next video, I'm breaking down the buy, borrow, die strategy that lets billionaires pass wealth to their kids without paying a single dollar in estate tax. Yeah, that's real. See you in the next one.